Welcome, everyone, to the inaugural episode of the Guardians podcast, where we focus on Overwatch content. I'm your host, Veritech, and we're going to go ahead and introduce everybody. I'll start with myself. I got my start in esports way back when Warcraft 3 was a thing, and followed Grubby and Moon and their epic clashes between Night Elf and Undead, and just absolutely love it and fell in love with it, and just was a Blizzard fanboy from the beginning, and from then on it just transpired to StarCraft 2, got huge into the scene, became a competitive Heroes player, jumped out of my chair when I saw the Overwatch announcement, and here I am now, and I am joined by my lovely co-hosts, One Eye, Artemis Howell, and Azax here on stream. I'm going to go ahead and give them the floor to introduce themselves. So Artemis, why don't you go ahead and start?
Well, my introduction won't nearly be as great as yours. I've been playing World of Warcraft for 10 years. I'm at a LAN center right now. It won't usually be like this. I got really competitive in World of Warcraft. I achieved US first status in end of MOB, beginning of this new expansion. I retired from World of Warcraft, though, seeking better horizons in Heroes of the Storm. Became a team manager for Murloc Geniuses. I work at the esports arena in Santa Ana. And currently, I am very excited to see what Overwatch has to bring to the Blizzard franchise and esports in general. Anyways, I think One Eye, it's your turn.
Oh, me. Okay. Well, let's see if we can keep this train of fantastic introductions going. So, I am One Eye, or Donovan. I've been playing Blizzard games forever. My earliest video game memory is playing Lost Vikings on the Super Nintendo. No joke. So, I've been following everything they've done forever. I did some competitive gaming with Heroes of the Storm for almost a year back in Alpha. I have some other experience in the video game industry, in the retro industry, doing some freelance journalism, video editing, sort of that whole sort of deal. And yeah, I guess that's it. I'm not too exciting, so I'll go ahead and pass it off to Sean or Azax.
I'm Azax. I've been playing Blizzard games for about 8 years now, started in World of Warcraft, and I was in that main hall during BlizzCon 2 years ago when they announced Overwatch, and the energy was just insane. Everyone freaking out over that trailer, and I love the game. Got in the beta, and I can't wait to discuss it more.
Sounds good. Well, obviously, chat, this is the four hooligans that are driving this podcast, whether it be into the ground or into the sky, remains to be seen. But with the introduction,
The point is we have the keys. That's
we
what matters.
do, we do. You are at our mercy. So
We have the technology.
yeah,
We can make it worse, slower, weaker.
Give me alcohol, I'll make it amazing.
yeah, I second that.
That's for the late night cast.
Well, they still haven't officially announced a release date. It's still spring 2016, and Amazon and all the other sites have it as June 21st because that's kind of the last day of the spring season. But the price model is it's kind of interesting, and I know Donovan, you really were interested to see how they were going to do this, because I know on console the pricing is different. You can still get the collector's edition like you can on PC, but on PC is the only one where you can get the Origins or the base package. So you have three different price points, whereas on Xbox One and PS4, you've only got the $60 option and then the $130 collector's edition. So I know that that's something that really kind of interested you. Did you want to elaborate on how that kind of might impact the long-term viability and just the decision to make it kind of a one and done payment? You get all the heroes for free, you get all the maps for free. It's not like a free to play microtransaction system like other games have done in the past.
Okay, well, for me, here's the big thing. I remember seeing E3 like 2012 and being like, subscription-based models are out. Look at League of Legends. It's doing its first couple of seasons. It's turning over tons of money. Free-to-play is going to be the next big model. Mark my words. And boom, it happened. And the big thing here is there are two things to consider. First off, this is a first-person shooter, so this is the first-person shooter that Blizzard's doing and really stepping into. And then second off, they're really trying to make this like a strong competitive player in the scene, which means that its biggest competition that it's going to be going against is going to be Counter-Strike Go from the PC scene. Now, the thing to consider here, and why I think it's incredibly intelligent that they're doing like a base price model, and admittingly, you have to feel kind of bad for console users and they don't have the same pricing options, they just have the $60 route. But the thing here is, if you look at a game like, say, Evolve, which by all means plays fine, is gorgeous, there's nothing wrong with it, it's a good game. The big issues why that game can have like a decent, thriving player base on console but be completely dead on PC is entirely due to the pricing model. You can't convince PC players that they're going to play a first-person shooter when it's $60 to get the game. You're doing microtransactions for additional maps and additional content, things like that, when you could just go, play Team Fortress for free.
Right.
There's no you're not paying anything there. You know what I mean? Like you can do microtransactions there, but it's free. Or Counter-Strike Go, which is currently literally the most popular game on Steam. Like that is what people are playing. In that game, it's a $15 point of entry. You know what I mean? So if Blizzard wanted to do something where they're like, we're going to release just a $60 game, you're going to be doing microtransactions and map packs, they'd be killing themselves in the PC market because there's no way that they could thrive against that competition. Right. So for me, that's the most important to make the most important point to make in the entire discussion is that it seems like they are actually pricing to compete in a PC marketplace, which is an extremely difficult marketplace to thrive in.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's interesting to see kind of the thought pattern behind everything, because it was just that unanswered question. Blizzard has always kind of paved the way to do whatever they wanted. With World of Warcraft, it was the first large scale. I mean, you had Ultima Online, you had EverQuest, you had RuneScape, you had all of those, but nobody really came in and said, we're going to make you pay full price for a game, and then we're going to charge you monthly. And everyone went nuts over it. They're like, I can't get enough of it. I mean, I was an alpha and a beta tester for WoW. I started on day one. I got hooked. I was addicted for many, many years. I recently was able to curb that addiction. But the fact that Blizzard then came in with a MOBA, with Heroes of the Storm, and they kind of had to find their way, between Dota and between League of Legends with their price point. And then with Overwatch, I mean, you have CSGO, where it'll oftentimes go on sale and it'll be free. And you have Team Fortress 2, which it was really only on PC, but it's free unless you want a hat or a new gun. I mean, it's just like jump right in and play. So it was like, are they going to go with that pay-to-play, with everything unlocked? Are they going to have microtransactions anyways? It's interesting to see kind of how everything worked out. To the point where now they're even including it on consoles. I think that was kind of a huge shock to everyone that was when it was announced at BlizzCon this year, and it was just kind of relieving for me, as a PC and a PS4 owner. Now I've got options. So I mean, it's really refreshing that Blizzard is kind of taking, their Blizzard ways, and they're saying, well, we've got this new IP with Overwatch, and we're going to do it this way, and everyone to go, you know what, that's really smart, because they were getting hounded for a while with how they were running their prices in Heroes of the Storm. The heroes were too expensive, the skins were too expensive, the bundles, they didn't have dynamic bundles when the game was released, and they later added it. So if you had something, then it was less expensive. But with Overwatch, you pay $60, you pay $40 if you're on if you're on PC, you get the game, you jump in and enjoy it. And they have hinted that they're going to have other unlocks that you could probably do an achievement system or pay extra a little bit. You get like a custom spray, but just to have the game and all of the game, it's really nice.
Well, I mean, it makes sense too. Just go ahead. Sorry, my point falls in later. Anyways, go ahead.
A lot of people that I talked to were hoping to be kind of like a Dota model where every hero is free and then you just pay for cosmetics. And as soon as they announced, it's $40 for the base PC version where you get 21 heroes, and then you get the $60 version that includes the origin skins, 5 origin skins for heroes. That'll also be the version that console players are forced to buy because $60 is just the general price there. A lot of people were concerned that heroes were going to be paid per individually, and then when they finally did come out, I was just like, all my fears are gone. I don't care that's $40. I mean, Blizzard has to make up their money from Titan. This is what that game came from, and They have to make up all that money. So I don't mind paying $40, $60 one time, and then I get heroes over time because it's Blizzard, and they're not going to abandon it.
Right.
Kind of feels like the Smite pay model. You guys know how Smite works, right? There's a way you can just buy its pass where you can get all heroes coming up.
Yeah,
for just
the
one
ultimate god
price.
bundle
Right.
is what it is. Yeah.
Right. I feel like this is kind of what it feels like, and I like that. It's not gating anything. It's everybody will get it. There's no nobody's whining about being constricted to just a certain amount of heroes that they can only purchase. You know, it's like $40. Here you go. If you want skins and cosmetics, like pay extra. It's good for them too, because I know for a fact people will be buying skins and extras. It'll keep the pay model going.
Yeah, I'm going to be one of those people. I mean, I got into the Heroes of the Storm technical alpha, and I think I hit the $325 cap within 60 days. I just had to have everything. Like, I had to have it. So
Just
I
take
mean,
my money, Blizzard. It's
that's
just here. It's yours.
yeah, that's gonna be me too. Like no lie, I will probably be dumping extra money into it because you got to look dapper in your skins. Like you can't just be a Tracer. You got to be like the special Tracer in her special skin. Like it just makes.
Oh, once we see
sense.
some Roadhog skins, absolutely, I agree.
boy.
And the other thing to consider, which is important about microtransactions, is microtransactions give companies a way to like still put like they can synergize money into the product without having to do like big map DLCs, just cosmetics alone. So it's really important when they're trying to pitch it as like a competitive game where you have to switch classes, this and that they have everything available to everyone. Because if they did it like League of Legends and other games like that, as opposed to Dota where you do get them all free, it's a little bit harder for them to pitch the whole class switching is really important. That's what it's about when not everybody can do it.
Right.
And that,
So-
really
That
is
would
the
be
key feature of
so
the game.
gating and competitive. Absolutely.
It's like to a really crippling degree. So I think it's a really just intelligent move by Blizzard to do it, because they could have done it the other way and it would have hindered the game and they probably would have made more money. But I think it's a good idea. I think it is kind of interesting that they are doing 40 and 60 instead of something a little bit lower. But to be fair, you can also make the argument for quality.
Right.
And I know that all of us have played it, so we can speak for this on a personal level, but I mean, the game is absolutely gorgeous. It feels like you're playing a Pixar movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's fast-paced, it's fun, it's dynamic. Like, I've never had a bad game. Like, even games where we've gotten stomped, I've still just had fun running around doing stuff. So, like, $40 or even $60 on console is still, like, a pretty good price point for the quality of product that you're getting, especially if you're not going to have to pay additionally to continue enjoying it.
I'll say this: I've spent maybe $400 on Hearthstone and maybe another $200 on Heroes of the Storm. Blizzard takes my money, and I'm getting for my $60, I'm getting 21 heroes and 7 maps and a couple play modes, but also 5 skins for heroes I generally enjoy, except for Bastion. And I have no qualms with it. I will pay them the money because they will support it, and it will be good. I mean, Hi-Rez has come out and said that they regret having that model where with the God Pack, and with Blizzard they won't have that regret because they'll support it and the game will be good.
Right.
Well, and like there's synergy between all their other products too, because with the Origin bundle, you're not just getting the Origin skins, you're also getting stuff for Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, and Diablo, and WoW, and like that's the thing is, I mean, it's kind of like you said, Blizzard fans are willing to pay just because we've been playing all their games for so long. Like they have the money, they just know that they don't have to bend us over a barrel that hard.
Let's see, 10 years a while times 15 times $60 per the 7 expand. I don't want to talk about it.
Plus constant transfers.
Oh jeez. Don't even
Oh
get me
yeah,
started.
transfers. God bless.
Once Activision came into the picture and they waived that 3-month, like it was just 3 days to transfer. Holy crap! It's like my friends are like, "I'm going over here. I'm going over here." It's like, well, I gotta follow them, dropping $50. Yeah. So, but I mean, it is good and it's refreshing. And to then have the options to have extra skins for people like me who are obsessive about being different and being unique. I'll be able to purchase those skins and somebody else will, and it won't hurt as bad on my wallet because it's Blizzard. It's just what they do. They put out content, you want to buy it. So it is going to be interesting. The other point that kind of leads into that is the long-term viability in Overwatch, not even from a competitive standpoint, just casual, like pick up and play with your friends or play online. The fact that they are releasing it on PC and on consoles, it's going to be interesting to see how well Blizzard is able to support both platforms, because normally they're used to, PC, it's not a big deal. You got one team, server issues, whatever. But now you're throwing Microsoft, you're throwing Sony with the Xbox One and PS4 into the fray. It's going to be interesting to see how they juggle that. Because I want this game to be around for 185 years with updates and patches, but if they're able to do that with only PC and they end up scrapping the console, down the road because they can't keep the maintenance up. It's really going to be interesting to see how viable the game is in a year and 2 years and 5 years. So I know, Donovan, you had some points that you wanted to make about that.
Well, yeah, I have points, but my points are the exact opposite side of it. I don't have any concerns about that in this case.
Oh,
And
no?
it's largely to do with the fact that they're using this pricing model. Because I think if they didn't have all the like mechanical content, all of the characters, all of the maps continuing to be free to people who purchase the game, it would kill it on the PC front because they'd only be taking in Blizzard players. They wouldn't be taking in people who are outside of that. You know what I mean? And if you look at Blizzard games, typically a good example is World of Warcraft. A better example is Diablo 2. Like the longevity of support that Blizzard gives their games is absurd.
Right.
Like you can play Blizzard games forever and ever and ever. Like that's not something you have to worry about with the servers going down. Which, as somebody who plays a lot of MOBAs, like that's my genre of games. Some people like puzzles, some people like first-person shooters. I like MOBAs. It breaks my heart when there's a MOBA out there that I enjoy playing and it gets shut down. So that's like a concern that I have to encounter pretty regularly, and it's refreshing not really feeling that with this, just because it's coming from Blizzard. Like all the pieces are there for it to do well.
Well, like with Diablo 3, if that game had come out in the way it did originally under another company, it probably would have been shuttered. Instead, they brought it back with Reaper of Souls, and they improved it and made it a game that we love now. And I love the support they've given over Diablo over the years. It made the game so much better and so much more fun. And that's the thing you don't have to worry about with Blizzard. It's like Overwatch could come out tomorrow and it could be shit. But give them a couple months in a year and it would be amazing. Not that it would be shit, it's already amazing. But
yeah, it's already really stupid fun.
It is.
But yeah, I mean, I don't actually feel that just because it's Blizzard. And because they're not shooting themselves with the pricing, I think people will continue playing it, which in their case, because they have so much money built up and they just really love their player base, means that the servers will stay up. So
I guess that's just the skeptical old man side of me,
Yeah.
Just I don't want it to be shuttered because, like I said, I do own a PS4, and I do have friends that own a PS4 as well, and they want to buy it. One of them's already pre-ordered the collector's edition for it off of Amazon, and they're going to play it on PS4, and it gives so much more forum to the people who want to play a game, but they feel like they're hitting that wall where, well, if I don't have a computer, well, I don't enjoy mouse and keyboard. I enjoy a controller instead. And the fact that Overwatch is even going to offer controller support for the PC, and they've toyed around with that idea. They're giving people so many options. It's so nice, and I really think they've already kind of hit a double. I think they're going to hit a home run with this one. Because there's really nothing in the market, unless you want to play Splatoon, or you want to log into Steam and play TF2, or you want to get
which some of us do. Just saying.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. No. I play Splatoon with my kids. We have fun doing it. It's a great game, but I mean, it gives somebody who's whether they be into the competitive scene, they want to go to their local LAN, and set up a tournament, or if they just want to play with some friends, while eating pizza, they want to play, 4-player, or they want to play local, online, or they might even just meet some people in the town they live in that, oh man, you play Overwatch on Xbox One, me too, awesome, let's play. It's really nice that there's so many options out there. I hope the game lasts for a long time. I really think it does. If you look at other Blizzard titles, they hold up so well. And when they start to break down, Blizzard goes, well, yeah, here's a new dwarf skin, and everyone goes, oh my god, it looks so great, it's updated the models. And that's just what Blizzard does. They just keep their games alive, and they're just so good at it.
And Warcraft's 11 years old now, and
Yep.
is there a MOBA or not MOBA, MMO that's been alive that long at this level of quality?
It's true. That's true.
Well, the other thing too that I feel good about console players on this is look at how well Diablo 3 translated to console. I've actually gotten time to sit down and play it a little bit on some of my friends' Xbox Ones and stuff, and it translates really well. It honestly does. The support for it's not bad at all. So if Blizzard, hopefully from that they learned how to do console support, and then the people who are playing that on consoles instead of PC won't have to worry as much.
I'll admit I've played the console version of Diablo. I prefer playing it on the console version.
Yeah, I do too.
I hear that a lot from people.
And I don't know
Yeah.
what it is. Maybe it's just the controller compared to
controls.
the mouse and keyboard. It's so much better to me on the console. I have so much more fun playing the game. When I'm sitting down at the PS4, PS3, and just enjoying that experience because you got the controller. It's just the it feels almost more fluid.
It reminds me of Gauntlet
Yeah,
more
it does.
when I play it on the console, and I honestly think it's just because you actually have the physical sticks in your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Aiming the controls are better, and then Diablo for me is very much a game I will play in short bursts. So that I could like play it on console and just sit down on my couch and relax would be a lot of fun.
yeah, and Overwatch hopefully will translate and be the same. You can just pick it up, play a match, throw the controller down because you just got destroyed by the Mei Genji combo, and it's like, all right, I'm done. I'm gonna go get some pizza or whatever, and come back and just pick it up. Yeah, screw this crap. I'm done. Slams keyboard or controller down on a coffee table. But it's nice that they are offering so many options. One thing that I wanted to bring up, kind of on a spin on this, and it'll lead us into our next topics, is because I am such a competitive person and I do love competitive nature. I want to see when they inevitably Blizzard turns this into an actual esport, if they're going to support teams on PS4, if they're going to support teams on Xbox One, if it's just going to be PC only. It's really going to be interesting to see with all of these options that they give us what they're really going to focus on when they go to market it, and they create the Overwatch World Championships at BlizzCon, trademark. What are they going to support? Are they going to have 3 different divisions? Are they just going to have one? Are they going to have the PC be the competitive side, and Xbox One and PS4 be for the people who just want to sit down and shoot the crap out of each other? It's really going to be interesting to see what route they take with that.
And I feel like they're gonna go with the PC route. It just feels like it would make a lot of sense with Blizzard being generically PC oriented in most competitive gaming scenes right now. Granted, Call of Duty and Halo are on the PC. Look at CS:GO as an example. That's like you said earlier, it's gonna be their prime competitor.
It really is. That's the big one to bring up in this argument.
So, yeah, and look how that does as a PC esport.
That's ridiculous.
Does really well. It's made a surge recently, so I just feel like Overwatch will be competitively on PC, casually on the console.
And
I have
and that's probably what makes the most sense from a standpoint of Blizzard is if you look at CS:GO. For one, I was never big into competitive FPSs. I mean, I watched Halo when it was back in the day, but Call of Duty I played with my friends. Battlefield I played with my friends. I never really got into Counter-Strike, and I remember almost a year ago there was a local convention here in my town, and I walked in and they were hosting a $15,000 CS:GO tournament. And I remember walking around and I saw, Cloud9, and I saw Kaboom, and I saw, Team Karma, the all-female gaming team, and I went, what are they here for? And I remember on the giant 50-foot screen they were doing the CS:GO, and I'm like, wow, that game's still around? How many different versions is there? And by the end, I was so hyped up that I actually started following the scene. So it's going to be good for Overwatch to kind of muscle its way in there to see if they can coexist, if one really kind of overpowers the other, because it's my idea that more esports is better, especially with Overwatch.
Oh, yeah.
It's good for everybody. It's good for my 10-year-old son to watch because there's no blood. It's very cartoony, but at the same time, you can still take it seriously because it's a complex enough game, where the hardcore esports fans and competitive players can really get into the game and sink their teeth into it.
I think we've already seen that. I mean, tournaments started up. Just not even, no prize pool or anything. People just wanted to compete in tournaments and make teams. And they already had 8-10 team tournaments, and they looked really fun. There was some great play out of there. We already have some really dominant teams established in Not Enigma and Hubris as well.
Right. Well, I guess if we're done kind of discussing that, the next thing that really was on the docket, shifting it around here because I'm seeing some fluidity solutions. But recently, in the last few weeks, there was an article that came out that said MLG, Major League Gaming, was purchased for $46 million by Activision Blizzard because Blizzard wanted to create the quote-unquote ESPN of esports.
Man, that guy has to feel so stupid for using that exact turn of phrase, right?
He's like, we're going to create this, what is it, 24, 26 hours ago, all of a sudden I see all of these notifications on my phone going, so-and-so follows ESPN Esports, so-and-so followed ESPN Esports, and I'm going, what? And I look, and it's like, hey, we've been building this for a while. You want an ESPN of esports? How about ESPN gives you esports? So
pretty much, yeah.
It was like, damn. So it's going to be interesting to see if Overwatch is going to be an MLG specific thing, or if ESPN will provide coverage. Because I know on their site they do League of Legends, Dota 2, and Hearthstone. And I'm sure they're going to continue to provide coverage for Hearthstone. ESPN is, even though Blizzard now has MLG, they can do it whatever they want to create the I guess Fox Sports 1 of esports, because now there is an ESPN of esports. But what are your guys' thoughts on the both purchasing MLG and now ESPN going, well, you can't have an ESPN of esports without ESPN in esports?
Well,
I think. Go ahead.
Sorry. ESPN owning esports is really big. As everyone understands, that is owned by Disney.
Yeah.
That's going to have a lot of money involved in it. And I think it's really positive that something with such influence is now getting involved into esports. On top of MLG being bought by Activision Blizzard, it's not only going to give room for Call of Duty on their side, but it'll also mean that I believe that all Blizzard titles should get something involving MLG pretty soon. And we'll hear more about it, I hope, in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be very interesting just seeing how they actually use the MLG assets and expand, because they set up their esports division a few months ago, and then they purchased MLG. So it's like they're going hard to the paint with this, which is what people wanted, because with their other games, they were like, oh, well, if the community wants a competitive scene, we'll make one. And with Overwatch, they're just like, no, we're coming out with the tools now to do it, and we want to get one going right away. And we'll see where they take with it. I know with Here's the Storm, they want to do a much bigger tournament circuit this year, and hopefully they're that committed to all their other games with making tournament circuits and just going hard to the paint with it. I'm really excited to see what comes of this.
The thing for me, and this is mainly coming from somebody who watches a lot of Dota, and this is speaking to a very specific point, but I don't necessarily see there being the whole Activision, MLG, and ESPN. I don't see a lot of exclusivity necessarily being there. One of my favorite big Dota 2 tournament streaming venues that I go through on Twitch a lot is Beyond the Summit. And first off, they run some fantastic tournaments on their own. Cactus Draft 3 is coming out soon. If you're into Dota, that's a cool tournament coming up. But what I love about them is one of the things they started doing when they first came out, and one of the things that they still do a lot, and why it's called Beyond the Summit, is they take a lot of the Asian tournaments, like the Korean leagues and things like that, and they just rebroadcast them. They do it in in English, and they bring in their own casters and things like that. So I don't see any reason why, if MLG was running a Overwatch tournament, ESPN wouldn't be covering it. I don't necessarily. I don't see a whole lot of exclusivity being there. I see everybody kind of sharing here. You'd be shooting yourself in the foot if you didn't.
I agree.
Yeah, there's way too much content potential out there, and there's so many different avenues to explore with partnerships. I mean, you bring up Beyond the Summit. I mean, you can go on the Team Liquid store on teamliquid.net. There's Beyond the Summit merchandise for purchase on there. Blizzard with MLG, they've got Coke Esports, which is out there, and it'll be interesting to see if Coke throws their weight behind ESPN or Blizzard, or if they share and everybody's happy. I mean, it's going to explode, and I think more importantly, the point that it's going to drive home is that esports isn't something that you just follow in your mom's basement anymore. I mean, it's becoming a forefront staple with the younger generations and even the older generations who love competitive gaming. You don't have to go to a hole-in-the-wall LAN center anymore. You can just turn on your TV. I mean, last year they had Heroes of the Dorm on ESPN2. I remember I went into work and I was jumping up and down a point and going, I helped make that. That was bit the scene. I helped that. It was exciting. And now ESPN is going, all right, well, we're taking this serious. And the amount of just unlimited potential that this now creates. I mean, all I can do as an avid esports fan is sit back and just kind of go, wow. Now I went from, well, I might be able to get it on Twitch if my internet speed is fast enough to, they very well might bring back a channel like G4 or something like that, throw it in a basic cable package, and now you've got your esports to rival ESPN. You know, you might have ESPN the Ocho now, and it's nothing but esports. I mean, Dodgeball may have it partially correct. It might be a reality here in a year or 5, however long it takes. But, I mean, it's just exciting all around to see this kind of, not really competition, because they haven't been competing yet. They just kind of made purchases and started departments.
Yeah.
But there's just unlimited potential. I mean, that's really all I can say about it.
If there's like one continuous feed where you had like Warcraft esports and Call of Duty esports, Overwatch, Hearthstone, Heroes, and just like the feed of everything Activision Blizzard in esports, that'd be really sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, the popularity is there. ESPN did stream the internationals this year too. They did actually show that, which is worth mentioning as well, because the internationals this year were massive, and also like the greatest esports story ever told. Oh man, Chinese wildcard knocks out USA. USA comes through the loser bracket. Oh man, so good. Anyways, point being, I remember getting that feeling the first time I went to a pub stomp, which what Valve does every year for the internationals is they partner with like breweries and bars around the U.S., right? And they'll give them the equipment to like stream it and host it, and they'll give them prizes to give out and raffles and things like that. And this was the internationals too. You know what I mean? Like this was a few years ago before it was even huge. And I went down to the Lowry Beer Garden next to this big, Air Force hangar museum, and the place was packed. I mean, people were outside in the lawn watching, and just that was when it hit me. Was a few years ago, and I'm like, okay, it's real. It's actually coming to the U.S.
Yeah.
So I mean, people want it. There's a market for it, and I think people are starting to realize, yeah, you can actually do it now, and it's absolutely crazy. I mean, the people I heard being like, whoa, dude, ESPN, can you believe it? Yeah, I can totally believe it. They've been trying to for a little while. Like,
yeah. I mean, and it gives me, on a personal level, it gives me more ammunition. I have a friend that I know from work before he went back home to work closer to his family. The guy's a diehard sports fan. Thinks the term esports is something that, a 16-year-old freckle-faced nerd, eating Hot Pockets and drinking Mountain Dew. Like, esports isn't a real thing. It's not a real sport. Like, you can't call that sport. And it's like every time I see a little bit of an advance, like, Heroes of the Dorm on ESPN2, I'll kind of shoot him something on Facebook and go, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And I send him the ESPN article, and I just put a smiley face. And his only response was, not going to talk about it. I'm sad. And I went, okay, well, I'm not, because esports. I mean, I'm a diehard sports fan too. I mean, I got all my football stuff up on the wall around my computer, but I've got all my Blizzard stuff. I've got my old competitive T-shirt. Over here next to me on my shelf. Like, I love esports and I want to see it grow. And it was so exciting. It was kind of like ESPN esports on Twitter, and I looked, and it's like, really? Today? All right, well, I'm just going to sit back with my popcorn, because I know, Activision Blizzard purchased MLG. ESPN is going, wait, not so fast, my friend. And, it's exciting to see what the future holds, especially with Overwatch coming out to provide yet another facet of esports for Blizzard to kind of throw their hat in the ring. My only concern, and you bring it up, this past year, I don't remember the exact prize pool, but I know with the International 5, it was the largest prize pool in esports history, something like $16 or $18 million.
Yeah, I think it was 16.8.
Yeah,
like
16.
No joke, I think it was 16.8.
Yeah, the thing that concerns me is Blizzard really needs to step up their game in prize pools. They did it for a while with StarCraft 2. It felt like the prize pools were a little underwhelming. And then Heroes of the Storm, the first inaugural HWC, the Heroes World Championship, just finished up with BlizzCon. To me, the prize pools just seem a little underwhelming. And then you got Riot, and they're like, well, we're giving out $1 million to the first place team, not even including everything else they could have done in the LCS.
Yeah.
And they're getting paid salaries, and they're getting paid sponsorships, and they're streaming, and they're getting that revenue. It's like Blizzard goes, well, we'll pay you $200,000. and it goes.
And you know, with Hearthstone, I mean, the Hearthstone World Championship gives like $200,000 to the winner, and then the Archon Team League Championships comes out, and it's like, yeah, we have the exact same prize pool as BlizzCon.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we might need to step it up a little bit. And I think they're doing that. I know they announced with Heroes they're going to have like 3 regional events a year now with like $500,000 prize pools, which will be nice. And that's what that game needs, is more money in the scene. But as long as we can keep this going, it's like, we need the prize pools to attract sponsors and to attract players to the games.
Right. And I mean, having ESPN now and having, Activision Blizzard with MLG, it's only a matter of time till Fox Sports goes, well, we won in 2. It's going to drive more sponsorships. It's going to drive more profits and revenues into the realm of esports. And I think it's going to help alleviate that disparity between, Blizzard, because they are kind of a behemoth. They have so many titles, starting with Warcraft. And now the World of Warcraft Arena Championships. I had a guy that was dumbfounded. He goes, what? Wait, that's an esport? And so I showed him, the YouTube VODs from BlizzCon this past year, where Bajiro was hosting it, and you had Cloud9, you had SK Gaming. I mean, you got these big organizations that are jumping in. Blizzard has so many esports. I mean, it would kind of be foolish not to take that interest that people are going to administer to it, and they're just going to come flocking in and going, well, esports, wow, look at all this coverage. We're going to throw money at it. I mean, the International 5 was essentially a crowd-funded prize pool. I know Valve gave X amount, but
I think they put in 8 million. I think it was 6 or 8 million.
Yeah, so I mean, over 50% came strictly from crowdfunding, and it's because people wanted to see it. They wanted to see this huge event, and I think if Blizzard did something along the same lines, especially starting with Overwatch and what they already have, it's really going to create this interesting rivalry that the only real benefactor is going to be the fans, because they're going to get more and more and more content. So it was really funny that it happened yesterday. Kind of like, well, you said ESPN of esports. Well, how about ESPN creates an esports department, and pushes it out there. So I'll have to keep my eye on it. We all will have to keep our eye on it. But I mean, it's really nothing but good things for esports and competitive fans, especially those who really wanted to see Overwatch succeed. I think really that kind of props it up and gives it a much bigger forum and chance of success now, both at the casual and the competitive levels.
It'll definitely be something to watch. I know someone in chat earlier said something about hopefully they focus more on consoles, and I just said on chat, I want to see throughout the year, I want to see Overwatch, the main focus be PC, and I want that to be the one at BlizzCon. But I also want separate leaks for consoles. I think that'd be cool. But it's to the point with Blizzard Esports where we need a third day of BlizzCon this year. We need a third day, because I spent maybe 6-7 hours a day, both days of BlizzCon, sitting in a chair watching Heroes Esports.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the time to watch anything else because it was just filled with Heroes, and we need more time.
Or do anything else. I couldn't watch any panels I wanted to watch. I couldn't do as many demos as I wanted to do. So yeah, but somebody also mentioned in chat, Smite did have separate championships this year for their different titles. So, for example, they had a PC World Championship and an Xbox World Championship that just happened actually recently. So there's possibility they could squeeze that in somewhere as well.
That is very
And a third
true.
day of BlizzCon.
BRB going on change.org to petition, third day of BlizzCon.
I think they realized at this point they need it.
The big thing to consider with Smite 2, which is something that I think is interesting, is Smite kind of found the sweet spot in terms of people who want to come to it. As far as an audience and a target player base, Smite really hit the sweet spot. Because if you look at why games like StarCraft can kind of struggle in a North American esports scene and not really be watched but MOBAs are, and then why MOBAs aren't even necessarily pulling in the whole audience, because there are a lot of people who don't like isometric games and things like that. Smite can succeed on both PC and console because of the way the game's designed. Since it's third person and plays like an action game, there's not that port of entry most people feel when they come to a MOBA or a first person shooter or something like that, because it's so typical. Everybody's played an adventure game.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think it's worth mentioning that in Smite's case, they kind of have like a secret sauce for why they're able to do something like that. Why they can have like a big PC player base and a big Xbox One player base and be able to support both. Blizzard has the tools to do so, but it requires Overwatch being as successful on console as PC. Which at this point, we're just saying that's probably not going to be the case because we're looking at precedents here. We're looking at history. But it would be very easy for us to be proven wrong. You know what I mean?
That's very true.
I just did want to mention that in the case of Smite because I think they have something really special there. Like, it's a fun game, and it's cool. So
Smite's my casual MMO. Like, I know it's not recommended, but I'll just log in, and there's a little thing you can check, and it'll auto buy items for you every time you go back and go. And I just go in and play, and I have a good time. And it's my casual MOBA, and I love it.
Well, I mean, Arena's so good.
Yeah, and that's the only mode I really can play is Arena, just because it's so different from every other MOBA. I mean, it doesn't even really feel like a MOBA to me because every shot is a skill shot. I can go in Arena and I can wreck people on Raw, or Thor, and I haven't played Smite in a while, so I haven't played any of the new gods, but they really did kind of hit a sweet spot because it's so different. And I remember, the Smite World Championships just concluded. And the finals were NA versus EU, and unfortunately it did nothing to help NA's esports scene because they lost. But they really kind of found that magic formula and kind of found success on many different tiers of competitive level. And thank you, Jim the Shovel in chat, for bringing that up. It totally spaced my mind. But Blizzard has the same thing with Overwatch. They can create so many different divisions, so many different leagues. And then they can allow people to create whatever they want, which is what they've always done. You got DreamHack and you got, IEM and you got StarCraft in both of those, and Hearthstone is all over the place now. I think Overwatch is going to be their next big home run, and it'll provide a forum for all of those competitive players just to get down and, hop on with 5 friends and just go to town, playing competitively. I mean, the sky is really the limit.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, though, that's enough about talking technicalities. I'm ready to talk about the game.
Let's talk about the game. And sticking in the competitive side, this is kind of something I wanted to bring up. It's something I've really been looking forward to since we kind of started planning this when the Guardians was still...
It's something we've all talked about just tons of times. I mean, at BlizzCon, out and about at events, I know all of us had this conversation with each other.
It is, and it's something that, I was vehemently, it's almost like nails on a chalkboard to me when talking about this, because when Blizzard announced Overwatch, and you saw all the people go nuts, on Reddit, people were trying to form competitive teams, and, everyone was instantly trying to gauge, well, how competitive is this game really going to be? Will there be a vibrant esports scene? The one thing that was driving me nuts was people were going, yeah, I'm going to be a Reaper main. Well, I'm going to be a Mercy main. And me being, an ex-competitive player for Heroes of the Storm, I'm going, yeah, okay, yeah, you're going to main one character. Watch you get hard countered. But the very interesting thing happened is I went on the Overwatch subreddit beginning of last week, and somebody had posted snippets of I think what they had titled was more competitive footage, and it was a team, and I'm not sure what team. I think it was just kind of like a group of 6 people that had come together and formed a team, and they weren't sponsored, they weren't really anything special. Something very interesting was going on, and I was watching this, and it was only one team, and it had their comms. They had a person on Lucio. They had a person on Soldier 76. They had a person on Roadhog, but then the person on Roadhog stayed on Roadhog. The person on Lucio stayed on Lucio. And I'm thinking, well, they're actually winning. And I mean, yes, they did have players that swapped. They had a Reinhardt that swapped to Zarya, that swapped to a Winston. But I mean, my thing, and it always was, and I'm a lot softer stance now after seeing this, is in a game like Overwatch where you have so many hard counters from one character to another. I mean, Pharah was so big, and then D.Va came out. Well, now, her defense matrix automatically shuts down Pharah's, ultimate ability. The chances for hard counters really kind of invalidates the argument that you can be a one-trick pony like you can in a game like League of Legends, where you can be, a LeBlanc main, and I'm a LeBlanc mid, and that's it, or I'm Quinn top, and that's all I play. I'm climbing the ladder. With Overwatch, you can't really do that, and I think I've kind of softened my stance, but I still maintain. This is my opinion, and this is why I'm phrasing it this way so we can discuss it. You cannot be a character main. You have to be a class main.
Oh, no.
That's cool if you want to play Reaper, but you better get really good with Tracer. You better get really good with Soldier 76 as well. Like, you cannot main one character. You have to main a class if you want to be successful. Even just playing around with your friends. If you want to be the best Overwatch player on your block in the neighborhood, you've got to be able to competitively main a class, not a character.
In a strictly competitive sense, you will see teams, and like you'll see Seagull. He'll be the guy playing Pharah. He'll be playing the DPS, the offensive characters, and they'll start the games like that. But they know they need to switch, and that's the thing for casual too. It's like I know people who will play straight one character their entire time, and that's nice, and you're good at it, but you have to change constantly. Not necessarily constantly, but there will be times where you have to change. I could start a match as Tracer and get the first point really quickly, but then they start up a good defense at the second point, and all of a sudden now I need to switch to like Diva or something to clear points.
Right.
See, I agree. I think it'll be extremely important, and this is also, once again, like, speaking strictly competitively, for players to be like, yeah, I play offense, I play defense, something like that. But I do think that there are certain characters that we will just see either played like solely through a whole match or just consistently picked, because there are certain characters in this game that I think their design is flawless. And I know I just made the joke about Roadhog and all that jazz, and I know that I'm the biggest Roadhog fanboy in the world, but there's actually logic behind it. Right. And the reason why I like that hero so much and why I play him so consistently in like a solid 80 to 90% of my matches, like lots of times just through the whole game, is because I have yet to really encounter a situation where I just can't use him. Because like a hook has lots of application both offensively and defensively. He has self-sustained, so he's a completely independent character, you know what I mean? And he's got high enough damage output that he's more than fine to duel, you know what I mean? So there are certain characters, and I'm just using him as an example, that I think are designed well enough and well-rounded enough that we'll either see them near 100% of the time, or I wouldn't be blown away to see somebody playing them for a whole round. Reinhardt's kind of like that too. He's another person who I just, in a lot of situations, is really good to use. They don't necessarily have a whole ton of weaknesses. You know what I mean? Right. So
he's good all around.
We'll see people, I think, who are like, yeah, I play support. That's what I do. But I mean, you know, you're going to be mainly seeing like Lucio and Symmetra and things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone has their kind of characters they play. I try and be well-rounded, and I feel like that's the way I play the game. When it comes to tanks, I'll play Reinhardt because he's very easy to handle and just overall very good. But when it comes to like support, I'll only play Lucio. He's really good, but that's the one I click with. I mostly play defensive characters or, you know, offensive. So as long as you have something you're comfortable with, where you have that chance, like my comp, no one has a healer, I need to switch to that. That'll help us out better, or maybe we need a diva to clear points or something like that. As long as you expand your horizons a little bit and don't just stick with one character, you'll be good.
Mm-hmm. Versatility is always crucial in competitive gameplay for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it is good to see, you know, it kind of opened my eyes a little bit when I did see that competitive snippets, and the majority of the team that we were watching, they didn't switch characters very often. But the fact that you are able to do so freely in Overwatch, it kind of creates a chess match, and it's a depth that some people don't fully grasp until they get into the game and they try it out. That, you know, you can get hard countered. Like you said, Roadhog really doesn't have a whole lot of counters. He's kind of well-rounded. He's got the self-heal. You know, his ultimate ability hits like a truck. You know, he pairs really nicely with certain characters, and we're going to cover one in a deep dive after this. But then you have a character like Tracer. She's really squishy, and yeah, she's really fast. But if you use up all of your zipping around the map, she's nothing but this really low health, low damage character, but she's really good for capturing points. She's really good, for sniping the backline of an enemy team. But she can be hard countered.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I kind of chuckled whenever I see people going, well, I'm going to main X character. Well, no, you're not if you want to be good or if you actually want to enjoy being competitive. But if you want to get curb stomped over and over, go ahead and play Reaper. But I mean, you're going to get countered, and then you're going to get frustrated, and then it's going to be your team's fault, because that's what happens in competitive gaming. So you can main a class, but you can't main a character in a game like Overwatch. And to see all the different compositions already forming, I mean, the game's still in closed beta, but there is a competitive scene growing out there. The number of different combinations that you can come up with that are really kind of eye-opening. It's interesting, but at the end of the day, you need to be able to play more than one character to successfully pull off these compositions and be able to kind of warp the meta of competitive Overwatch to kind of not have you fall behind, because at the end of the day, there's going to be a tempo storm of Overwatch. It hasn't really popped out yet because the game is still, I mean, it only kind of, came into beta October 27th. You can't really get a good feel of, who's really going to distance themselves, what characters are really good with what other characters yet, but you kind of have to be good with more than just one character.
Oh, yeah. I will say this, one thing that was popping up in the tournaments towards the end of the beta was Pharah with a Mercy attached, because Pharah's a character where she's just so good, and she has counters, but those counters can be shot down. Yeah, she's still
even then,
good.
she's still so good. Like, I like Roadhog versus Pharah because if she ults, it's just, that's a free hook, That's just a free kill. But even then, she's still a chick with a jetpack and rocket launcher, so you're still going to have problems the rest of the time.
Right.
Genji is a really good counter on her as well.
Yes. Yeah, Genji is really effective against Pharah. But Pharah, again, she's one of those characters where nobody really wanted to play her at the beginning when Overwatch was first announced, and they had, this was before Junkrat and Roadhog got announced, this was before McCree and before Soldier 76. Symmetra and Pharah were the two that I think people were like the least excited about, and they ended up really kind of being game changers when people were able to get their hands on them.
Oh, yeah.
And, Symmetra's another one. She's got a really good utility, but she can be hard countered as well. And it's really important for people just to realize that when you see yourself getting hard countered, you need to switch, because otherwise you're going to have a bad time.
I'm actually really excited whenever we do a deep dive on her, just because, like, her utility, her whole kit, like, if you actually have the time to set up your turrets and, like, a place to teleport your team in, like, she's one of the few people who can bypass barriers. She can get through Reinhardt shield and Bastion turret shield. Like, that's a really cool character, and I'm excited to talk about her more once we eventually do, so.
I love setting up little death rooms with her. She's so much fun.
Dude, just baiting. Oh, look at me! I'm setting up a teleporter. And somebody walks in and gets 7 eyes of death, just like melting their armor down. It's great. Yeah, it's a fun time.
Yeah,
it's good.
Well, I mean, if there's really no other thoughts, we're gonna go ahead and do a character deep dive every week that we have the Guardians. And this week, it wasn't unanimous. Some people hate this character. Some people really kind of lean heavily on this character to be good. Because
I love her design. I just hate her.
Oh my god!
So let me clear that up. Let me clear that up. It's nothing against the character. It's that.
She was definitely a character that when people actually got their hands on her, they were really just like, I'm not sure if she's good.
Yeah.
She's annoying.
Her skill cap feels really disproportionate to a lot of the people in the game. Like, there are a lot of people in the game that are very static, like Pharah, where it's just like, yeah, just fly in the air and shoot things. That's all you got to do. But yeah, man, Mei, who we're going to be talking about, yeah, there's a lot to do with her. She's super cool.
Yeah. So obviously, as you can see in the overlay now, we are talking about Mei. Mei, the Frozen Queen who can rival Elsa as Queen of the Ice Kingdom.
Oh man, I'm just gonna have to let that go.
Yeah, just let it go, man. Just let it go. Azax, why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit of her backstory and a little bit of her ability overview?
All right, so Mei is a defense character. She has 250 health, which is a little bit... It's about the same health as Reaper, so she's a little bit tanky in that sense. Her name is Mei Ling Zhu, and she's a climatologist in the lore from China who's affiliated with Overwatch. And her weapon is an endothermic blaster, so it's an ice cannon pretty much. She shoots out a conal spray of ice that over 2.25 seconds will freeze her target, as well as doing damage with their main ability. And it's the most annoying thing because you cannot do anything once it gets attached to you. But then
it is worth mentioning that it's not just like a timer; it does slow while you do it. So it's not like you have to just like you can get them in there. Like if you tag somebody with it, they're gonna have a bad time. It's the anti.
Slows you more and more over time.
Freeze tag. It's basically freeze tag.
Right
now, her endothermic blaster has a second fire, which is a single shot icicle that does 75 damage. So you'll see a lot of Mei still freeze you and then shoot you in the head with her alt fire and just do a crap ton of damage. And there's a lot of mates who can be really good at sniping with that. Now, when it comes to her defensive capabilities, her shift ability is Cryo Freeze, where she basically ice blocks. And during this ice block, you can't damage her, she can't move. You can cancel it while you're Mei, but during this Cryo Freeze, you're healing 150 health over time. And it allows you to really just get in there, get out, heal, come back in, which is something I like to do with her a lot, as I'll explain later. Her E ability is Ice Wall, and you can either do it as in a line in front of you or a straight line, like a wall or a straight line. And what it is 5 pillars that absorb 500 damage each. And it stands up for about 10 seconds, and you can destroy it, but it's just going to take a crap ton of damage you generally won't.
It's a lot of health, yeah.
It's really good at blocking things and just causing all kinds of mayhem. Now, her ultimate ability is Blizzard, which she throws a little robot and it creates a circle storm of ice damage that will do the same thing as her endothermic blaster. It'll freeze you to the point where it'll slow you and freeze you, as well as doing damage. It does 97 damage over every single tick. It does like 25 ticks over the time. And it can be blocked by barriers, but it is something, if you get her in a tight spot, that Blizzard will be nasty. Yeah, and I'll say this. I'm probably the person on the podcast most experienced with Mei. I was definitely not someone who was enticed by her at the beginning, but then where I really started to see her come out of her shell, for me at least, was tank busting. They had a Mei or not a Roadhog or
I hate her so much.
Reinhardt. I'm just like, I'm gonna run in there, get behind you, freeze you from behind, and then just run away. And it's like I'm just gonna go get behind the tanks and freeze you. And yeah, it's dangerous. That's why, like I said, I will get in there, freeze them, get out and heal, and then come back in and just freeze them. But yeah, it's just shutting down those tanks is so good. And they're like, I want to smash you. Frozen. Sorry, Reinhardt, you're not gonna kill me. She's the most annoying character. If you play her on a small map with tight spaces like King's Row or Volskaya, oh, it's so good.
As somebody who mains tanks, I just hate King's Row.
Same. Like, I'm a tank main too. Like, I feel like her being defensive, tanks are usually your frontliners, and her being able to bust down tanks is very, very crucial for competitive play. So maybe we'll see some in like the MLG side of Overwatch.
She makes me want to rip my hair out. And the combinations that you can come up with. The first one that I was blessed to see was when we were playing her at BlizzCon. And I don't know who they were because you never know who you're playing against. You just plop down, you try it out at the demo stations, whatever. But there was a Mei and a Genji on the opponent's team. She would drop her wall, and then Genji would just come out and snipe people. And anytime you try to do your skill shot, obviously, he can block it with a well-timed ability. But it was just like, how the hell do we get through this? I mean, they're just picking us off with this stupid Mei wall. It's irritating. The second combo that I absolutely hate playing against is Mei Roadhog. And it's kind of like Roadhog because he's so big, he has such a high health pool, he's got self-sustain. He can get behind your team, Mei can then wall off a door, and then it becomes one of those, I'm not in here with you, you're in here with me type things. And he pops his ulti and just wipes your team. It is Mei, she is like the linchpin, the bane of my existence. And it's kind of why I wanted to cover her first, because she is so polarizing. You either love her or you hate her. There is no in between. It's kind of like water and ice. I mean, you can't have both. It's either one or the other. I can't stand Mei, and it's probably why I haven't played her that much, just because she is so frustrating. And every time I get my hands on her, I feel like that derpy llama.
Suck at her.
Yeah, I'm terrible. But somebody else is
Am
like
I doing anything actually useful?
right. But then the enemy Mei is so good. You're like, God, I give up. GG. I just throw my hands in the air. I walk away. Like, she is so frustrating to play against. And the fact that she doesn't even look like she should be hard. Like, she's got those giant nerd glasses and a huge parka. And it's like, this freaking cute Chinese woman is kicking the crap out of me. And I can't stand it. Like, she is definitely going to be a mainstay at the competitive level,
Oh, yeah.
and she is also going to ruin friendships at the casual level because she's so frustrating.
I'll tell you
the thing-
this.
Go ahead, sorry.
One of the big things towards the end of the beta was Diva, and people using her constantly to explode and just
Oh my
wait
God,
their
so
point.
much.
So that's the thing with Diva. Her ult doesn't need to kill people. It has such a massive explosion that you use as clear to clear just everyone out of the area. And then I'm playing Mei, and it's like, oh, you're gonna do that, Diva? Really? Ice wall. Entire team's just protected by that wall.
Right.
Like, sorry, every single time you do that, I'm just gonna ice wall, and you're cockblocked. I'm sorry to say it. You're done. It doesn't work. And they rage so hard. That's one thing I love, that there is all chat in this game, because I love seeing them be like, "Fuck you, Mei." Like, I'm sorry, I just have good wall timing, and it can win games if you plant those walls right and just, block a Reaper, block whatever. You use it to defend your team or mix them up. I mean, you can launch it underneath the Torbjorn turret, and it lifts the turret up, and I believe it would destroy it as well. That was a bug, of course, but
People
you
will
can
exploit it.
mix things up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she just, I mean, it's going to be interesting because I think, how many characters are in the game right now? Is there
21?
There's 21, right? I didn't think that there was an unreleased one yet, but just the amount of innovation people come up with where they throw a Mei, and sometimes she's like the center of these team comps, and I mean, she can disengage, she can engage, she can set up picks. I mean, she's not overly flashy. She doesn't do a ton of damage compared to other characters, but it stacks up. And if she doesn't want you to get away and you make the mistake of getting in on her, you're not going to get away and you're going to die. And just the combos you can set up with Mei, I think she has been probably the most controversial Overwatch character yet, because when she came onto the scene, people were crying that she was broken because they didn't know what to do. It's like, well, I can't get up on her as a melee character. If I want to shoot her from afar, she's just going to wall and run, and each pillars of those walls has 500 health. So, I mean, it takes a while to get through them. She's just, I can't say much positive about her because she's just so infuriating to me. I hate playing against her.
My favorite thing about her, and a lot of people fail to mention it, and they like show it in the video, but I never hear people really bring it up, is like her wall is amazing as a defensive tool. It's amazing as an offensive tool for like blocking in a team, but the mobility on it. And what I mean by the mobility is, if you look at characters like Genji and Hanzo, things like that, part of the reason they're so good is because they're so mobile. Mm-hmm. They can run up to the rafters and get in behind things. Like a good example is I'm blanking the name of the map, but Pagodas, Cherry Blossoms, Giant Bell. Yeah, on that map, second point B, right? There's the little hole in the wall and on the side of the castle where you can go in and go around, and it leads back behind the big bell. That's the final capture point. And normally, that's where your back line is, but you're only seeing like Reapers and things coming through, and it's manageable. But I have very specific memories during the beta as Roadhog of Maze being like, "Yo, dude, here's the elevator. Get up back there." And do you know how many free games it is if all of a sudden Roadhog just pulls up with a chain gun behind your entire back line? It's horrific, and that's that's a value that you can't really weigh in numbers. So I think that's why so many people have a hard time with her, is it just comes back to this concept of skill cap. She's short range and she has good defensive tools, but if you use her properly, it's absurd because she can do everything. She can get your whole team around. It's madness. She's crazy. There's a lot of tricks up those sleeves,
There's so many things you could do, and I love the fact that you just unintentionally called me bad. I'm bad at Overwatch because I can't play Mei. The skill cap on her is so high. In order to effectively play as a good Mei character, you have to know all those tricks. the fact that you can use her wall kind of as an elevator and pop up into areas. Well, now you can take the Roadhog. Now you can take the Reinhardt. You can take the Winston, and he can just go crazy behind enemy lines. It's not just for, these little nooks and crannies of every level aren't just for the highly mobile characters. They're not just for the Hanzos and the Genjis and the Tracers and the Reapers. I mean, you can put anybody up anywhere with Mei. She has such utility to offset that low base damage. It's just every time I see a Mei on the enemy team, I'm like, great. Now I really need to step my game up. I can't autopilot through this and win. I actually have to try. And sometimes it's really frustrating because that Mei is incredibly good and incredibly skilled.
There's this one planter on Numbani where if you bring Mei and Bastion, and Mei just elevators up Bastion in this little place, and he's pretty much completely covered, and you need someone like Genji to be able, who can jump up there to get behind the Bastion, and it's just great. It's like she's a great person to have because you can put people in weird places with your little elevator wall, and just the combinations are really good.
It feels like cheating sometimes,
Yeah.
like legit, especially
you
that
should
ultimate.
be there.
Like it's one of those things where you're like, oh, it's not that much damage, and sure, it can freeze a whole team, but like until you've experienced that, freezing a whole team is like you just won for 2 minutes. Like
Right.
it's madness. Like that ultimate is crazy good, and a lot of people, I think, especially when people start playing it, like it's the Wombo setup, man. You can do crazy stuff. Gravity Well into Blizzard into Hanzo ult. Like I mean, that's one game. How do you lose?
Mm-hmm. She's one of those characters that, you love her or hate her, but she's got a place in almost every composition. And she has a role that is just so far beyond fitting into a niche that she can go anywhere and do anything. And if she can't, she can find somebody else that can with one of her abilities, and helps them out. Blizzard really did a good job in designing her, and it pains me to admit that because I hate the character so much. But they did a good job. I mean, I don't think she has a weakness that is bigger than any of her strengths, and it's not that necessarily that she's broken, because she's not. I mean, she's not overpowered. She's just really well balanced to do what she does, and what she does is, provide utility for the rest of the team. And oh, by the way, if you get cocky and think you can 1v1 her, she can kill you solo. So she's a really good character.
She like
Oh,
a lot
definitely.
a lot of characters in the game. Like you have counters, yes, but with good play, you can really outweigh those counters.
Yeah. Yeah.
So before we end the podcast and everything, I wanted to ask, what's everyone's favorite hero?
Winston!
Winston.
Hi there.
Hi there! Hi there!
I know what Donovan's
That's
character
perfect.
is. Donovan.
Hog for that.
Yeah,
for like
I mean,
Wiggly all day. I don't
Blizzard-
care. Like,
Blizzard made that character based off of you. I guarantee it. Like,
yeah, no, it was literally.
Oh,
for me.
man.
I got a letter in the mailbox. Like it was really, super excited. Like good news, he has a hook and a shotgun and is unkillable. It's your favorite thing.
Ridiculously strong. I think his health pool is a little too high, personally, for what he
Yes,
is
it's-
able to do, but...
Oh yeah, considering he can heal himself up, it's just a bit.
And he's got a
ridiculous.
shield, and he's just, yeah.
I mean, the
Don't get
times
cocky
you
with her, dog.
fire fight, and you're just like, oh man, I'm at like half health, and you just tank the entire wave of damage and just walk away.
yeah.
They're just like, what the fuck was that?
Right.
Like- so
I
yeah,
like
me-
Winston.
Winston.
Oh,
Oh my God, Winston.
he's so much... I get a ridiculous amount of kill streaks on him. Just, like, if they have a squishy comp, I, like, literally will just charge and drop my shield and just spam my, electricity gun. And I'm just like, okay.
I mean, Winston's a tank, but he's like the Tracer of tanks. His job is to jump in the backline and mess with your Widowmakers and stuff.
Yeah,
And
he's not there.
Oh,
to
yeah,
take damage,
the
he's there to
healer.
just shake it up. Just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
get out of here.
Yeah, I love using him to pick off healers. Mercy, I can't think right now. Widowmaker especially, even Tracer. He's a really good counter to the Tracer. Like, as soon as she tries dashing away, you just shift on her and just go ham.
Mhm.
Go ape.
Go ape.
Go ape, sure.
Yeah.
Go ape, as it were.
Well, I kind of am partial to McCree and Diva. Like, I don't really have a favorite. Those are my two. And McCree I just like because, I mean, he just his belt buckle says it all. He is a BAMF. If you're not if you're not careful, he will catch you with his ult. You know, if you don't get behind a wall, if you don't stop it as Genji, you don't time it perfectly, he will kill you. Like, I love that entire feel of McCree, and also D.Va, just because she has that shutdown potential where, you know, if you see that far fly into the air, you know, you pop her defense matrix and boop, done. Sorry. You know.
For the same reason, though, that's why I really like Junkrat. Whenever I see Pharaoh or High Noon, I'm like, oh man, look at these free kills!
Yeah.
Like, get over here! Like,
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, but those are my two. I mean, those are the two characters I enjoy playing more than others. And I'm sure, you know, once the beta comes out and I get even more games played, it'll change. But for now, those are my favorites.
I think my favorite right now is Lucio because when I need a support, he's there. And I don't necessarily like playing healers, but he's this character, like, I can play him the way I play, and I play really aggressively. So I'm wall riding up and past you, and then I'm coming up and punching you in the face and shooting you in the face with my gun. And then running back and healing my team and dropping the beat, putting the shield up on all of them. And he's so aggressive and so good. I love that he has passive healing. I don't have to be like Mercy where I'm attached to a person. It's like, yay, healing beam. It's like, no, I can be aggressive while healing you. And I just love him. He's so versatile and so good.
I like him a lot too. When I play support, I play a lot of Cinnamon. It's a good time. You just got to drop the base, you know. Like he's fun to play because he has that offensive potential that a lot of the supports don't have. Like the dubstep wub weapon, like it drops the hurt, man. That alt fire, that knockback, like you can seriously duel people. Like he's no joke. So I definitely feel the love there as far as the support department's concerned.
One last thought there. I really hope that they're lined up with the 21 heroes thing because. I mean, offense and defense have 6 heroes, tanks have 5 heroes, and supports have 4. And of those, I mean, Mercy and Lucio are the best healers. Zenyatta's a little weird. He's kind of offensive, but also he does healing. But then Symmetra doesn't do that much healing. So it's like, I feel like I have 2 actual healers. I wish there was another support healer in the game.
Yeah.
I'd like to see some off-class healers. Like, I enjoy the fact that Roadhog has healing, and as much as I don't play the character, Soldier 76, I love the fact that he actually has that, like, AoE healing on him. I think off healing is an interesting thing to bundle into a character design because it's a lot of situational utility. So I would like to see more healer diversity, not necessarily support diversity.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, that's probably what it's going to end up being. I'm just being a little hopeful there. Heal tanks OP.
Yeah,
look
no
TC
kidding.
like.
Well, I guess if you guys don't have any other thoughts or anything to add, we'll go ahead and wrap up this first inaugural episode of The Guardians. I'm not sure if we're going to do it next week. It all depends on if they announce the beta or not. We might anyways, just because, you know, we're hooligans, we're rebels, we do what we want.
There are topics we can still address.
There's
quite a few.
Lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. So if you guys want to keep your eyes peeled, you have all of our Twitters here on the overlay. You have mine there and Artemis and One Eye. We'll obviously tweet about it. We also have a show Twitter. It is at Guardians OW, at Guardians Overwatch. If you want to go ahead and follow that there, and go ahead and give a follow to this channel because this is where the show will be broadcast on. Again, my name is Veritech. You guys, anybody have any closing thoughts?
I'm just excited to do this, man. There's so many characters I can't wait to sink my teeth into.
Yeah.
Like I said, I come from a really strong MOBA background, and part of the reason I like it is because I love hero designs. I love the concept of a person who is designed to do like something specific, and there are players who do that the best in the world. And I think what Blizzard's done with this, and like versus TF2, because like I said, I love TF2, is I really love the character design. They don't feel like classes, they feel like characters. So I'm just excited to sink my teeth into more deep dives.
Definitely.
Before we end, do we have anything we want to plug? Like, Morgan, do you have anything you want to plug? I know Donovan, I saw you streaming this week for like the first time.
Yeah, I actually have been booting up the old stream again, doing a little bit of that, so I might be getting the schedule back on track, doing some climbing heroes, some of the league stuff, all that jazz.
All I have to say is keep an eye on Heroes of the Storm and any roster changes.
Yeah, for sure.
That is all I will say.
We're
very excited to see what happens.
A lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and it's going to be exciting to see when the dust settles what some of these rosters look like, because it's an exciting time for Heroes for sure. I mean, I know all of us follow it on the podcast, so definitely to echo what Artemis said, there's a lot of changes coming down the pipeline. But as for myself, I have a schedule, but I don't know if I'm going to keep it, and I might change it. I'm kind of a rebel. I stream other games. When the Division comes out, I will be streaming that. When Overwatch comes out, when Tomb Raider comes out, I'll be playing that. I do some streaming with capture cards on my PlayStation 4. I got into the Paragon beta. I can't stream it because of an NDA. But as soon as it goes open and people are able to, I'll probably stream that as well because I am super excited for that game. But yeah, I mean, just follow us on Twitter. Like the page here and go ahead and follow it. Updates on the Guardians Twitter page. And if there's nothing else, I guess we will see you guys here Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Again, for the Guardians podcast, I'm Veritex signing off for now.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone. Aye.
All right, we are